Hi, it's Gloria Donahue again, or Nana, as I'm known to my grandchildren with Nana's Cookery. So welcome to my kitchen, or welcome back. I feel like I know a lot of you because you comment to me, and I feel like I'm talking to real people and not into a camera. So I thank you for watching and coming to my kitchen. I'm going to make a peanut butter tart. There are lots of peanut butter pies or tarts, and this is kind of the one I've settled on for a couple of reasons. I really like it. It's also done in a tart pan, which means that it's shallower and it's very rich. It's very hard to cut a very small piece of a pie, but in a tart you can cut a decent sized piece and it's still not too much because, again, it's very rich. As I've said before, I cook just like you do from beginning to end. There's no pie number 2 or 3. There's only one from the start to the finish. And sometimes it's a little different than the regular because of a change in size. I'm going to give you the ingredients for a 9-inch, here it is, a 9-inch tart pan. And this would be fine for like 8 people. I'm having 9 people for dinner. I want to make sure I have enough, so I'm making a little extra. I'm going to do 1.5 times the recipe. So don't pay attention to the amount that I put in. I'll give you the right amount for this size. The first thing you do is butter this tart pan, and it's a tart pan, the bottom comes off. I'm going to tell you one thing you have to be very careful of when I'm going to bake this crust. I can tell you from experience, I don't usually put it on a cookie sheet, I just put it on the rack. But you must be extremely careful when you remove it from the oven. If you go right to the middle and don't get the edge, I can tell you what happens. I had a hot tart pan with the ratcheting from it on my arm for a number of years. It eventually did go away. I was quite surprised when it happened, as well as being burned. So be very careful with the tart pan. It's a wonderful thing because when you're done and you remove it, you just serve it right from this. You don't take it off. You just put this whole thing on a serving plate. And another little hint, when you're putting something like this on a cake plate, take a wet napkin, fold it and put it between this and the plate, and that will keep this or any thing like it from slipping on a plate. It will keep it there. That's for anything that you're serving on a bottom that's, it's already part of the dessert. So the crust is made with chocolate wafers and butter. Simple as that. The ingredients for a 9-inch tart pan would be 5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, melted. I usually melt it in the microwave. If you do melt in the microwave or whenever you melt butter, break it into smaller pieces and cook it at a very low heat. Because once butter is melted, it doesn't stay at that point while the rest comes to that. It continues to get hotter and hotter. So be careful when you're heating butter. Again, I do it in the microwave, a minute maybe at level 4, check it, but not too high. And I'm going to do these crumbs. This is a special cookie. When I say special cookie, it's available everywhere in the United States. But it is a very crisp chocolate cookie. It's quite chocolatey and it's quite crisp. And it's very good in crust. Now what I'm going to do the whole box. It actually tells you that you need 1.5 cups of finely ground chocolate cookie crumbs. I'm going to do the whole package because what I don't need, I'll just put in a baggie and put in the freezer. Don't put the cookies in whole. Whenever you're doing chopping, doing anything, give the appliance a favor by starting it, by breaking it into smaller pieces. It's still going to take a while, but this way, it has a good start. So we'll just take a few minutes to do this. It'll be kind of a pulse on and off. This is our crumbs. You can see how that comes out. It's very, very fine. I'm going to dump it into a bowl so I can then measure it. It's pretty hard to measure anything out from the processor bowl. So it's easier to transfer it and then do it. So I'm going to measure, remember you need 1.5 cups, but I need 2.25 because I'm making 1.5 recipes. I'm putting my crumbs and then my melted butter in a bowl, and then I'm going to mix it. See, really my 1.5 times took darn near the whole box, so it's a good thing I did the whole box. Here's my 1.5, or 2 1/4 for me. Going to mix in the melted butter. Just going to do that with a fork. And remember, we buttered the tart pan. And what we're going to do is we're going to bake this crust. The cookies are obviously already cooked, so what we're just doing is we're combining the butter and the cookies, and then we're going to sort of firm it up by putting it in the oven. Now I'm going to pour the whole thing in. Get every last bit out, and then I'm just going to start pressing along the sides. I always do the sides first because I know I'll have enough to do that, and then I sort of go back in and fill in the bottom, and that always works. I'm going to bring it right up to the top of the flute. There you can see, and I do press it. I want it to not be a loose mixture. I want it to form a crust. And this peanut butter pie is not a chocolate peanut butter pie. The only chocolate is in the crust and also sort of on a trim on top. But the main thing in a peanut butter pie is very similar in all of them. Cream cheese, peanut butter, and whipped cream. I mean, that is, you've got variations of slightly, but usually that really is a peanut butter pie. Very American. I don't know whether it's an American creation or not, but certainly it's a very popular pie in America. So we're just going to make sure we've got a nice side crust pressed in all along the edges there, and then again making sure it comes up high enough to form a crust. And we're going to put that in the oven. And that is being baked at 325 for approximately 10 minutes. And again, we're just really firming it up. The cookies are already cookies, and we're just combining it with the butter and firming it to make a nice crust for the pie. Our crust has now cooled, and now we're going to make the inside mixture. We're going to start with peanut butter and cream cheese. I've allowed the cream cheese to become very soft, otherwise it's very hard to beat it. And for your recipe in a 9-inch pie tart pan, it is 6 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature, 3/4 cup of creamy peanut butter at room temperature. And we're going to put those two together. I just use Jif and Philadelphia brand cream cheese, which I've always used. I know there are other brands that are fine. We're going to put those in the mixer. I've already talked about how I like this flanged beater thing because it's nice to put things together. And we're just going to mix it together. It's not a really big deal. We're just going to get a nice cohesive mixture of the two things. That'll only take us a minute or so. But I want to show you something. This is fine. This is mixed. We weren't trying to make a big deal of it. That just got everything together. We're going to be doing something in this recipe called folding. And I apologize because I don't know where you are in your cooking. Just as you wouldn't know where I am in my computer. I'd have to go into a very basic class. And you may be way beyond some of the things I say, but I have no way of knowing that. And I just want to make sure that when I make something, it's really clear, and that maybe if you don't know something, you can learn from it. When they talk about folding in a recipe, it almost invariably involves either beaten egg whites or beaten heavy cream. And the folding is combining another mixture with that beaten egg white or heavy cream. And they're not asking you to stir it and mix it together because they don't want to lose the air. I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to show you what it looks like in an empty bowl when I fold. I put my spatula down the middle, bring it up the side, turn the bowl, middle, up, down, but I want to combine them, but I don't want to let that nice airiness out, and that's folding. So now we're going to now this bowl is cold. When you whip cream, you want the beater and the bowl and the cream to be cold. So we're going to I'm going to give you this following mixture. You would put in 1 cup chilled heavy cream, 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons powdered sugar, and that's what we also call 10x sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to mix those together and whip them until we get a soft, what they call soft peaks. So you'll see that this is the heavy cream. This is the 10x sugar, and remember, when you take 10x sugar out of the box or the bag, make sure you seal it very tightly afterwards. If air gets into 10x sugar, it will make it very lumpy and hard to work with. If I were going to make a frosting with it, truthfully, I would probably put it through a sieve first to make sure I didn't have any little lumps, but I'm not worried about it using it this way. So I'm going to put in the sugar, and then I'm going to put in my vanilla. And what doesn't taste better with a little vanilla? And this is an unusual set of spoons because remember, I'm making 1.5 recipes. This is actually a 1.5 teaspoon spoon, which is unusual. The whole set has unusual sizes, which are kind of nice when you're cooking. You've heard me say before, you should have multiples of everything if you can, because otherwise you'd be just washing all the time. And you'll notice I have 2 mixing bowls, and that's because I frequently do things with either whipped cream or eggs where I need 2 bowls, and it's much easier to have the 2. And you can get a separate bowl. When you start with heavy cream, don't immediately go high. You saw what happened in my chocolate banana cake when I did the frosting, and I told you what had happened to me. That heavy cream is still very liquidy. But you want to get it up to a high speed, but you want to do it gradually. And as you'll see, parts of that whipped cream will come along the bowl. If you're seeing little parts up here, it's going to go flying. So just slowly bring it up. There we go. I think that's going to be fine. And if the peaks were too stiff, it would be too hard to get the mixture into it. Now, it's interesting that this recipe calls for putting some of the whipped cream mixture into the other, because even if it didn't, I would. Because I found with almost every recipe I make that uses folding into eggs or whipped cream, that the mixtures are too dissimilar. That whatever the mixture is too thick or too thin, and it doesn't really work well with the whipped cream. So what you do is you take a good amount of the whipped cream and put it in, and now you do kind of stir it in. Because what I'm trying to do is just lighten up that peanut butter mixture. I want to make it more compatible with the whipped cream so that when I fold it in, it will do it with less effort and less motion. So you see, I've lightened it up quite a bit by putting in, and they suggest putting in, I don't usually put in half, but they suggest putting in as much as half in it. But it will definitely go in better when it's a little lighter. So we'll put in a little more, we'll make it even lighter. You don't have to be so careful that that's all perfect because it's going to go into the other bowl. Now we're going to put it all into the whipped cream, and then we're going to fold. And we're going to try to keep it light. I'm going to start a little bit again in the middle, up the side, middle, side. If you put it all in at once, you've got an awful lot to work with at one time. So I find doing it a little bit at a time helps do it more consistently. This is not a difficult recipe. It doesn't really take all that long, and it's something you can do earlier in the day because when we're done, we're going to put it in the refrigerator and it has to chill. And it is served right from the refrigerator, and what you do is you just lift that crust up from the bottom. You just lift that crust up from the bottom, and then you put that on a serving plate. So we're working at folding this in. I'll show you when we're done. Again, down in the middle, up on the side. Turn the bowl. I just find that works the best for me. I'm sure if you look at another cook, they'll have a slightly different way of doing it. But I want to I want to get that mixture all looking the same. It's not a killer if you have some white streaks in it, but it's not really a marbly pie. That's not the idea. The idea is really that it's all one consistency and color. So we're going to work at it just a little bit more till we're satisfied with it. And then I have to remember to take out, you would take out 3 tablespoons of this filling. And you would mix it in a little bowl with 1 ounce of semi-sweet chocolate melted. I melted mine in the microwave on a low heat. And so what we're going to do, you would take that 3 tablespoons and mix it with that, and that's how we're going to trim the pie. So let's see how we're doing here. I think this looks pretty good. So we're going to put this in our tart shell. And this is a great spatula. Make sure you get really good tools. This one is really good. I tested it before I bought it, that the thing wouldn't come off the handle because I had one that looked really, really nice. But whenever it had to deal with anything heavy, it would haul the head right off it. So this does not. This is going to stay right on. And we're going to bring that out. As you can see, it just comes to the top nicely. So that's going to be fine. My hands were clean. I keep on washing and drying. And now you know what I just told you to do, and then I didn't do it. I need more than that. I just told you to do it, and that's how. What a dope. What a dope, what a dope. I need some of this for my trim, and I'll just fix the pie up. That's not a problem. Isn't it funny that I just mentioned it, and then I forget to do it? This is the time when you need a reset button. But life isn't like that. So we're just going to make this into a mixture. We're going to trim, and I'm just in a swirly kind of a mood. You could actually write happy birthday, you could put somebody's name, you could do crisscross, you could do whatever you want. I'm just in a swirly kind of mood, and I'm just going to keep on doing it until I run out of stuff. So I'll start in the middle. So then I'm just going to go and I'm just going to use it up. A little swirl here, a little swirl there, a little swirl there. Not fancy, just fun. Just fun. And we'll just do it till it's gone. We're almost done. Now, we're going to put this in the refrigerator, and as I said, when you serve it, you're going to lift it from the bottom in the middle and put it on a plate, and it would be a good idea to do that wet folded paper towel between the plate and the bottom so it doesn't slip. That will help hold it while you cut it, and then you just cut it like a pie. So we're looking forward to having it, and I'm looking forward to you trying it. Goodbye until we next meet again.